Hi everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Laurent Macquart. Today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite authors and the two books that she has written. Won't be a surprise because videos have titles, but I'm going to talk about the two books written by Erin Morgenstern. Erin Morgenstern is an American author and she lives in the Massachusetts. And the two books are The Night Circus and The Starless Sea. There are a lot of people that like these books, especially The Night Circus. There's a lot of hype around that. I want to say I was completely in the hype before I knew this was a hype. I picked this up purely due to the cover, absolutely loved it, and only years later discovered BookTube and that everybody loved it. I'm not going to start with this one because I want to end with it because it's my absolute favorite, and I'm going to start talking about The Starless Sea. It came out last year. And I remember discovering first Erin Morgenstern was writing a second book, and I thought it was already out, so I already apped a friend of mine who works at a bookshop, I need to order the second book, and then realizing, wait, it's not out yet! So super excited, and even when discovering the name and etc., I was like, oh, can I come back? Oh wait, it's not out yet. And when the final date was known, I already had a plan. I had ordered it and I was going to be able to read it the weekend after I had handed in my master thesis for the proofread thing. So I had reading this to look forward to, and it was a very happy weekend. Anywho, The Starless Sea. It's a difficult book to talk about. It's about a young man called Zach, and one day he's in a library and he finds a book. And in that book, he finds a story about himself, about something that happened to him years before when he was a child and he was in front of this kind of magical door. So he's intrigued because it's exactly his story and it is really him. He's also wearing the same clothes, and the book also references his mother. And he goes on a little bit of search to find out why that is and why that book has his story, only to find out that the book is not registered anywhere in the library, that it doesn't really he can't find it anywhere on the internet or something like that. But what he does find out, I think, is that the book was written before he was born. So there's this whole mystery, and there are other stories also in the book. And when he goes on this search, he discovered this whole magical world. He finds two people, Mirabelle and Dorian, and they kind of lead him into this world it's a very magical world and everything is intertwined. There's huge libraries that are completely emptied. There are twisted corridors, there's this whole underworld, there's the Starless Sea, there's a lot of magic, there's a lot of cats, which I liked. There's this whole secret society with bees and keys and swords and owls, and there are a lot of stories and books that's the thing that I really liked from this. It's very well constructed. There are multiple stories going on, and they are intertwined. So you have passages that you see at the top. There's a symbol, or they are written in, see, there's then this thing at the head, or there's a different font. No, there is no different font. But those indicate that section that you are going to read is actually from another book, so a book inside the book. And those kind of influence each other and reference each other. So the book that Zach finds, we get to read passages of that, and we get to read passages of things that happened in that book. And the passages are then sometimes happen before something that happens in the normal story, and sometimes they happen afterwards. And places reference each other, and the whole timeline is completely scrunched up, and it's not linear timeline at all, and that's what I really liked. You felt that it was so well constructed that all of the things reference one another, and you've got all of these details of stuff that just, to me, I'm sure that I didn't see all of the details, and I think this book is marvelous on a second read, because then you see probably already in the first pages that it references things that are going to happen later on in the book. There are also a lot of shifting alliances. Well, you've got many characters and you don't really know what their end game is, and that's very interesting. Also, characters that you start to kind of appreciate and really like Mirabelle. I remember she was really awesome. She's one of the two characters that Zach has more of a bond with, and you don't really know what her deal is. And also the Starless Sea and the things that Zack is finding, you don't know whether they're good, whether they're bad. They're people that want to destroy things. First you think, no, they want to destroy a library, and then it kind of makes sense, and then it doesn't make sense, and it's shifting the whole time. That was marvelous. I love the world. I love the attention to detail. I love that this is a story about stories and how stories are completely intertwined and multidimensionals, and the characters, and it's a very good book, I believe. It might be a little bit too complex at times, she says, because she didn't understand everything. But I still absolutely loved it. And it's great also when you have a book that you know you're going to be able to read in like a second time and be able to like peel a layer off again. I think there are many layers in this book, and that's what I liked about it. And it's fine that some of the layers were not reachable for me yet. It has the same magical atmosphere as the magical atmosphere from the Night Circus, and that is the reason that I loved it most of all. Now, the Night Circus, this was published, I have the Dutch version because I bought it in Dutch, and I'm kind of still on the lookout for an English version, but I really like this cover as well. This was published in 2011, and the setting for this book is absolutely, completely magical again. It's a circus, and you've got all these tents, and they're all black and white stripes like the ones that you see in the background. And what the circuses just appears one night on this field, and then people can come in. Everything is very clean and ethereal and very magical and mysterious. And what the visitors don't know is that the circus is actually an arena for a very big competition that's going on. And the competition is in fact between two old magicians, and they've got this bet, and the bet is that they think that their apprentice is the best, basically. And they already made the bet years prior to the start of this, and they then went to look for each of them an apprentice, and then raised the apprentice, formed the apprentice, and then the circus became the arena, and you've got this fight kind of going on. And the apprentices are, for one of the apprentices is Marco. He's found in an orphanage, and the other one is Celia, and she's actually the daughter of one of the two magicians. And reading also about how they were brought up was really interesting because, well, interesting, just wonderful, because they use different types of magic. And the way they were raised was also different, and sometimes they meet one another, and of course they fall in love. This is a romance story, but it's such a really pure kind of love. It's marvelous. And then we've got the setting of the circus, which is, I want to go there so bad. What happens is that each apprentice kind of designs a tent, and then with that tent tries to overshadow the tent that the other one previously made. So they try to be the best all the time, but at the same time also discovering who the other is, and they fall in love even more, and they're discovering each other's worlds. And throughout the story, we also, through the eyes of a young boy, get to travel a little bit through the circus. So we see all these tents and all the magical and mysterious and dreamlike world that Erin Morgenstern built. The story is magical. The characters are so sweet and pure, and love them. The setting, can't talk enough about that. The atmosphere is wonderful. This is one of those books that you don't want to end. You want to continue. The first time that I finished it, I was just so sad that it was finished. I loved every single thing about this. And this book is also special to me for another reason, because years and years ago, there was a time where I wasn't doing very well, and one of the problems that I had was also concentration, and I couldn't read also, even series or games. Everything was too much, and this is the first book that I was able to read. This is the book that is such an escapist novel. I loved it so much that it was the first thing that sucked me in enough that I was able to read it, and it's such a precious memory that first of all, realizing that you're able to read again, or at least this kind of things. That was I will always be grateful to this book for that. I will be, like a lot of people, on the lookout for anything that Erin Morgenstern writes. This was wonderful. This as well on a different level because it's more complex, but isn't that great that it's still this magical world? These worlds are different from other magical worlds, but there's so many layers. I highly recommend these books. If you like anything that is slightly magical, if you like to escape, these are for you. Start with this one, start with that one. I don't care. They're wonderful. Please read these. That's all I'm going to say about these books. Love them. Hope you read them. I'm looking forward to rereading them and to keeping them on my shelves forever. I'll see you in another video. I hope some of you read them and share the love with me down in the comments. See you in another video. Bye.